No.
Yeah.
And I thought the actors were pretty good. I thought it was a daring decision not to put some Brad Pitt-esque kind of super good-looking main character in there.
Yeah.
So you can kind of focus more on the character itself rather than, just a kind of a play for the female audience or whatever. And I thought the lead bad guy, he's done a lot of work in an
Zelko Ivanik, I think is his name.
A lot of he's kind of an unsung hero of the supporting actors guild,
He's kind of like
the supporting actor bad guy.
Yeah,
he's kind of playing the smoking man from the X-Files kind of character, isn't he?
Almost, yeah. And he does it really, really well. He's got a certain underlying threat about him. Just standing there, looking at his watch or something. He looks dangerous, So I like that about him.
He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that the second episode did a much better job of pacing. I think the first episode, maybe it was just my problem, but the first episode I was kind of like, we know what their basic mission is. So go do it, I guess. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, do this thing. And because it's a TV show, your mind is going, well, will that actually work? Because if that works, what do we get to do from then on? Like, what's the show going to be like? What's the thing? But in the second episode, you get to expand more and see what the future is actually like. You get to see some supporting cast. Actually, Kirk Acevedo from Fringe is a supporting character. He's Cole's buddy in the future. You get to see what that is and what that looks like. And there's like some crackerjack even jokes in there, which I don't really think we got more than one or two of in the first movie. And you know what? There's a thing that happens with a lot of sci-fi shows. I don't mean Sci-Fi the Network, which this is on. I mean just science fiction shows in general, where there'll be B plots that are like important because people are separated by things, or this person needs to get this because reasons, science, whatever. And usually I'll be like, get back to the main plot. I'd like to see the fighting happen with time travel, please. But with this, that hasn't happened yet. I genuinely I'm a little worried about the very small set of characters that we got introduced to. So if they can keep that up and if they can keep the missions fresh and exciting, which they should be able to, given that, time travel, time and space, all of it, it's right there for us if we want to go play around in it. If they can keep doing that, then I think I might end up watching this show for a while.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that did you see in episode 2 the North Korean scene?
Yeah.
It's funny that it's North Korean these days. Remember when it used to be the Russians, and then about 10 years ago it was the Middle East, or,
don't worry, Steve, the Russians will be back.
Sorry, what was that, John?
I think it's still the Russians too.
Yeah, not to the same degree.
There's enough hate to go around. Right?
It's not quite at the Cold War scale anymore, So,
yeah, Ireland's also probably not that invested.
No. So, anywho, so you're thinking you may watch more?
I'm thinking it's going to be a thriller for me. Yeah.
Mark.
Definitely thriller for me, Steve. Definitely, I'm going to watch more of this.
I have watched episode 2, so it's thriller for me. Mike?
Yeah, I totally love this kind of shit. It's thriller, yeah.
Okay, very good. Sean, you know what happens in Vegas? Has it ever happened?
Yes.
Has it ever happened to you?
Well, I have left Vegas since, so my slate's been wiped clean. So let's say no.
So you're on a reboot, is that it? Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. It's
Nice.
season 2.
Yeah.
There's a sign in the airport that says, remember, what happens here stays here. I'm not kidding. That's the airport. Every time you go past it, respec.
So next up we have second of our movies, which is Ida. And Ida stars 2 Agathas. I'll attempt their surnames.
Go on, Steve, do it.
The first one is Agatha Kuliza.
Nice.
And the second was Agatha Trezbushowska. Oh, yeah!
Nailed it.
I hope. Unless that W is a V. Anyway.
We'll expect the letter from the Polish embassy in the morning.
Excuse me. It's directed by Paweł Pawlowski. Did I get that one right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's close enough. Anyway, this is about a trainee nun She's she was an orphan during World War II. This is set in very early 60s Poland. She has she was orphaned and given to a convent, and she has never left the convent, and she is a week away from what's the word?
Taking her final vows.
Taking her final vows, thank you. And so her mother superior says, before you do this, you need to go and visit your aunt. And she says, okay. And she heads off.
And just so everyone knows, it's exactly as thrilling as what Steve just said.
Yep. That's it.
It's literally, the nun goes, go visit your aunt. She goes, yeah.
Yep. There's no explosions in this one.
No.
This was...
there is a car.
There is a car. This is set in early 60s Poland. It's actually shot as though it was made in early 60s Poland. Yeah. It's done very nicely in black and white. It's done in 4:3 format. The characters tend to be off the screen most of the time.
So that's why it's in black and white. They wanted to make it resemble a film that was made back then.
I think there was an element of that. Yeah, maybe not totally.
I just think there should be a reason for something to be a particular way if people are going to do that. And if that's the reason, if that's what we're going with, okay, sure.
I think it conveys the time more accurately for people in this time.
I think that had more to do with the perception of the fledgling nun than anything else.
Do you?
But would you mind if I jumped in, Steve?
Not at all. Go for it.
This is the worst film I will see this year.
It's only January, Mark.
What have we now? We're now 21 days into the year of our Lord 2015, and there is no way, absolutely no way, I will watch a worse film than this. The beauty of subtitles is that when people barely move their mouths to speak, it doesn't matter because you're not looking at them anyway. You're reading the words. The only saving grace is that I spent less time looking at these very plain women who are not good looking enough to be in a film. Because I was reading the words on the screen.
That's got something to do with it? Okay.
No, I like looking at pretty people.
Yeah. God doesn't choose nuns.
Regular looking people. If I wanted to look at regular looking people, I would just look at people in real life. But I like to be taken to a fantasy land where everybody is pretty. And I know they can do such things with the movies nowadays, and I question why they didn't do them in this one.
American TV land.
I have no idea what you're referring to, Steve. I'm just stating my opinion as it is. I said I'm sure they're fine-looking women in real life, but they didn't really cut it on the silver screen.
I actually went and read up about this movie, and I'd like to read for you guys now a quote from Paweł Pawlikowski, if you guys wouldn't mind, Mark. And then you can get his point of view and then disagree with it. So he said he'd become bored with cinema. So this is the quote. I thought, I can't watch movies anymore. All its weapons, all its tricks, the grammar of it, all the tracking shots, the music, the cutting, the noise. I knew I wanted to have strong photography because then you don't need a lot of close-ups or handheld cameras. You can convey emotion in a wide static shot if you do it well. I wanted to do each scene in practically one shot. I wanted to make a film that didn't feel like storytelling.
Yeah, he's wrong. Man, is he wrong.
Well, if that's what he's trying to do, though, is that what we should rate him on?
That's an opinion, yeah. It's an opinion.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Well, he had a bunch of shots where 7/10 of the screen was the backdrop and 3/10 was the two girls down at the bottom making very little facial expression, presumably because they thought we were nervous and they would scare us. And talking, reasonably monotonally. I'm assuming that's a word. It is now.
Not necessarily.
Monotonally. That's what I was going for. But yes, your word also applies. And I don't think that that's how you show a range of emotion, to be honest.
Well, like
it's just
using
terrible film. Terrible film.
Using the mise-en-scène as opposed to the actual people in it to convey emotion. I think that is something that people do traditionally, maybe not in blockbuster, maybe not in blockbuster films, but even in American cinema, they try and make the frame and everything in it be part of the emotion. Although often what we actually get is just a camera and the person holding it shaking it a lot while a monster yells.
That's far better. I would watch that again and again before I would watch. One particular scene had the two girls sitting there looking quite plain, while behind them was a giant window. And because I knew I'd have to talk to ye assholes about this film who had made me watch it, I said, right, give it a chance. Why are we looking at a picture of a giant window? Is this because they're discussing their worldview? Because that's what you see out a window? And then I realized that, maybe that's what it was, but I really didn't care. Because there wasn't enough going on to attract my interest. There was no hook anywhere in this story for me. None. I would sooner go and watch a very bad troupe do The Sound of Music twice back to back than watch this film again. Worst film of the year.
So you can't think of any other reason they may have, the camera may have meditated on the window while they had a conversation about life.
No, Sean, I appreciate that there was probably some artistic point that the director was trying to make. I pondered on that for a moment, and then I quickly realized that I didn't care. And it was just too poor a film that was going to have any impact on my lack of enjoyment. So I'm sure there are plenty of things, that I could pull out by looking at the framing. And wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference, to be honest.
Mike.
I did enjoy watching this movie, largely because as I was watching it, I was thinking of Mark's discomfiture. And as each scene played out, I thought, Mark is going to be fucking pulling his teeth out with this.
And you know why? Because he can't multitask while he's watching it. He has to read it.
Yeah. I thought the choice of black and white was good. It reflected the Spartan atmosphere of the convent, I thought. Like that convent, it looked like it'd be more crack in the prison in Startup.
Yeah.
I didn't think the actresses were that bad. I thought the understatement was very Slavic.
Yeah.
And I thought it lent a certain horror to it, because it's fundamentally about a horrible part of history. Which leads me to one problem I do have with the movie, which is that I think the reason it's getting so much attention and possible Oscar nominations, blah, 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 is that it's a, air quotes, important movie, in the same way that Wadija was last time around.
Yeah.
And that always gets my back up, because I really hate being preached to. But that said, I did start to engage with it. I did kind of follow the characters, and I enjoyed the counterpoint between the nun, or nun to be, and her rather less moralistic relative.
This is something that I want to talk about, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she goes to visit her aunt.
Yeah.
Right. And her aunt, the first time she meets her aunt is waiting for some guy she picked up the night before to leave, and she's sitting there smoking a cigarette. Yeah. Now, it's a very good contrast between...
Gives me knickers, I'm going home.
Between the different lifestyles straight off the bat.
Yep. And
you're wondering, how will this innocent child handle this, because she's been so sheltered, right? And there was another stage where the aunt they go on a bit of a road. It's a bit of a road trip movie, and because they're looking for the what happened to Ida's parents, actually, right? So that's the whole point of it, and what happened during the war, and where they went, and so on. So at one stage, they are stuck in a town, and the aunt decides she's going to a dance. And she said, okay, what are you wearing? You wear this or this? And she goes, I'm not going. I'm not going. So instead of going, the aunt goes, oh, Grant, I'm going off.